Today is Monday, September 25th. What to know about a possible deal to get Hollywood back to work. And what's at stake now that the government is on the brink of another shutdown. Also, just as one tropical storm weakened, another one formed. We'll tell you the impact over the weekend and what to watch for next. Plus, NASA's historic landing 7 years in the making. Why Amazon's Prime Video is about to get more expensive for some users. And all about Usher taking over the next Super Bowl halftime show. Those stories and much more news to know next. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. A historic screenwriter strike could finally be coming to an end after nearly 5 months. The Writers Guild of America, major studios, and streamers announced last night they have reached a tentative agreement on a new 3-year contract. The exact terms of the deal haven't been announced just yet, but the New York Times says it includes most of what writers had demanded, like increases in royalties for streaming content and guarantees that artificial intelligence won't get in the way of actual writers' credits or pay. The WGA's negotiating committee told members, quote, "We can say with great pride that this deal is exceptional with meaningful gains and protections for writers." Next up, guild leaders are set to vote tomorrow on whether to formally lift the strike. Assuming they do, writers will be able to get back to work, and shows like late night and daytime talk shows will go back on the air. But to be clear, any shows that need actors will still be in the dark. Their negotiations are now on hold. So the actors are still striking, as they have been since July. So, to be continued. A potential government shutdown is now less than a week away, and the White House has already told federal agencies to get ready for it to happen. Meaning, decide which activities are going to be put on hold, which employees will get furloughed, and which ones will be deemed essential, meaning they'll have to work, but without pay. All in all, if a government shutdown happens, nearly 4 million federal employees will have to figure out how to live without their paychecks coming in, including members of the military and law enforcement officials. The White House has also warned there could be massive disruptions to air travel, since tens of thousands of air traffic controllers and TSA personnel are among those who will be impacted. The FDA could have to delay food safety inspections, and the EPA will have to roll back inspections at drinking water and chemical facilities. Plus, national parks, Smithsonian museums, and presidential libraries could close. And it could impact food stamps, housing assistance, student loans, small business loans, and a lot more. So what is happening in Congress? Well, everything leadership has tried so far has been voted down in the full House, even the bills that unanimously made it out of committees. So the House is now preparing bills with hundreds of amendments that typically require weeks of floor debate, and Congress will have to try to get through them in just a few days. A prominent U.S. senator is now facing corruption charges, and lawmakers from both parties are now calling on him to step down. Senator Bob Menendez of New Jersey and his wife are accused of accepting hundreds of thousands of dollars in bribes, as well as other high-priced gifts. The charges say, in return, the senator gave up sensitive U.S. government information to protect an Egyptian-American businessman and help the government of Egypt. They also say he used his political influence to enrich other New Jersey businessmen. And there's apparently evidence. The indictment says investigators found nearly $500,000 in cash and more than $100,000 in gold bars stowed away in his home. In response, Menendez said he is confident the case would be, quote, successfully resolved once all of the facts are presented. And he says prosecutors have, quote, misrepresented the normal work of a congressional office. He did step down from his leadership role on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, at least for now, while the case moves forward. But he is refusing to totally leave Congress, even as both Democrats and Republicans call on him to do so. Congressman Andy Kim has even decided to run against Menendez in the primaries. He announced the move over the weekend, calling it, quote, not something I expected to do, but said New Jersey deserves better. By the way, all of this comes nearly 6 years after Senator Menendez went to trial on other unrelated corruption charges. That one ended with a mistrial since jurors were not able to reach a unanimous verdict. Still, that makes him the first sitting senator in American history to be indicted on 2 unrelated criminal investigations. There's a serious warning from human rights groups worried about a potential for genocide in the Middle East. The fear is for 120,000 ethnic Armenians who live in Nagorno-Karabakh. That's a mountainous region between Armenia and Azerbaijan. The two countries have been disputing over the territory for decades now. But that dispute may have finally come to an end since just last week, after an intense round of fighting, Armenian fighters agreed to surrender, and Azerbaijan reclaimed the territory as their own. Azerbaijan said it would guarantee the rights of people living in the region, but Armenian leaders and international experts have warned Armenians who live there, saying there's reason to believe they could be subject to persecution and ethnic cleansing. With that, the 120,000 Armenians who call Nagorno-Karabakh home started a mass exodus over the weekend. Back in the U.S., millions of people up and down the East Coast are starting to dry out from a weekend of torrential downpours, strong winds, high surf, and flooding. Tropical Storm Ophelia came ashore Saturday near Emerald Isle, North Carolina. It was still causing flooding yesterday in the mid-Atlantic, and some people had to be rescued from roads, campgrounds, and waters. Now the storm has lost some of its strength, but it could still bring strong winds and flooding to the Northeast today. And just as Ophelia weakened, another tropical storm formed. Tropical Storm Felipe is now brewing in the Atlantic. For now, it's still way out in the ocean, so it's not clear how much of a threat it will pose to land, but it could become the season's next hurricane. And meteorologists say people in the Leeward Islands, Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico should keep a close eye on the forecast this week. It's too soon to know if it could impact the mainland U.S. at all, but if it does, that will likely be next week. So stay tuned. More news is coming up, but first, a quick break for our sponsor, TrustWill. You've probably heard the headlines before where there's a big fight over a celebrity's estate after they pass away. And while we may not have as many assets as famous celebrities, we all, of course, want to help secure the future for our loved ones and keep the process straightforward for them as much as possible. Especially now that I have a child, my husband and I recently decided to complete our first will, and we were pleasantly surprised how simple it was with TrustWill. Each will or trust is crafted to be state-specific and customized to your needs without having to spend thousands of dollars. I also appreciate bank-level encryption, and although we did not need to use it, TrustWill also offers live customer support through phone, chat, and email. TrustWill has earned an overall rating of excellent with thousands of 5-star reviews on Trustpilot. No wonder hundreds of thousands of families and counting, including mine, have used their expertise. So gain peace of mind today with TrustWill. Get 10% off plus free shipping of your estate plan documents by visiting trustandwill.com/newsworthy. That's 10% off and free shipping at trustandwill.com/newsworthy. A space capsule that spent the last 7 years on a historic mission through the solar system is now back on Earth. It landed in Utah yesterday with NASA's first asteroid samples taken from deep space on board. These are samples that are 4.5 billion years old. And now scientists are hoping to use their high-powered equipment to study those samples. They're hoping they shed some light on the mysteries of our universe, like how water and even life took hold on Earth, and how the solar system has evolved over billions of years. Of course, this kind of analysis is going to take at least a couple more years, but NASA scientists are already celebrating the milestone. And NASA's administrator said the mission proves the space agency, quote, does big things that inspire us, things that unite us, things that show really nothing is beyond our reach. Well, the rate of American adults who are obese has now hit an all-time high. The CDC released a new report that found at least 20% of adults in every state are considered obese. And in 22 states, it's at least 35% of the adult population, mostly in the Midwest and South. And that's a big change, since just 10 years ago, no state had 35% of adults with obesity. The CDC warns obesity increases the risk for many other serious health conditions like heart disease, diabetes, some cancers, and more. So the agency says there needs to be more support to help people prevent and treat obesity. For example, expanding access to healthcare, healthy and affordable food, and safe places for physical activity. But no matter what, the health agency says there's never going to be a one-size-fits-all approach. Heads up, ads are coming to Amazon's Prime Video, even for Prime members. The company says starting early next year, there will be commercials in its TV series and movies, including the popular ones like The Boys and The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. That is, unless you pay another $3 a month for an ad-free tier. And even then, live events and sports will have commercials. No matter what, though, Amazon promises there won't be as many ads as traditional TV or other streaming providers, and it says it's only making the change so it can keep providing great new content. Of course, Amazon is not alone in these types of changes. Netflix, Max, Disney Plus, and Hulu have also introduced ads alongside ad-free tiers. Super Bowl 58 now has its halftime headliner. Pop star Usher will be taking the stage for the 2024 Super Bowl in Las Vegas. Usher will be right at home since he's also performing in Vegas now as part of his residency show. But the singer promised the Super Bowl will be different, that he's going to bring the world a show unlike anything it's ever seen before. The NFL, Apple Music, and Rock Nation, who will produce the show, all started breaking the big news yesterday, tweeting the videos of Deion Sanders, Kim Kardashian, and even Usher himself sharing the news with a younger Usher, as we've seen in his Confessions music video. And you can expect more big stars to get on board too, but no spoilers yet. Usher says there are many more Sundays to talk about who might be joining him for his performance. Stay tuned. That's it for the main news, so now it's time for Money Monday, when we talk about one interesting money-related news story. But first, support for today's episode comes from Nutrafol. Ever wish you had visibly thicker hair? Well, there are multiple root causes of hair thinning. And by the way, this happens to about 1 in 2 women. So what can you do about it? Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement clinically shown to improve visible thickness and strength. For example, in a clinical study, 86% of women reported improved hair growth after taking Nutrafol Women's Hair Growth Supplement for 6 months. So that is the one I take now, but I started with the postpartum option and just kept taking Nutrafol after noticing a change for the better. No matter the root cause for you, or no matter your stage in life, like postpartum, menopause, or neither, there's an option for you. There's even a vegan formula now. Take the first step to visibly thicker, healthier hair. And for a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code NEWSWORTHY. Find out why over 4,000 healthcare professionals recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code NEWSWORTHY. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code NEWSWORTHY. Okay, now back to Money Monday. Anyone who made money reselling tickets to a big sporting event or concert this year will want to hear this one. The IRS says a lot more sellers will have to pay taxes on those earnings. A new law requires platforms like Ticketmaster and StubHub to give the IRS information on users who sold more than $600 worth of tickets this year and made a profit. Of course, people have made a lot more than that, especially this year. Between Taylor Swift and Beyoncé on tour and Lionel Messi playing his first games in the MLS, the secondary ticket market has been on fire this summer. In the past, those fan sellers weren't actually sent tax forms unless they made more than $20,000 and had more than 200 transactions in a year. But the new law lowers that threshold to just $600. And it doesn't matter how many transactions. All that matters is that the seller made more money than they paid for the tickets. There are some critics who say the new law is burdensome for companies and confusing for customers. But supporters say it could help rein in scalpers who have exploited diehard fans. Either way, the IRS promises to give more guidance as tax filing season nears. All right, thank you so much for listening today and every day. And before you go, if you're interested in getting ad-free and bonus episodes, as well as just supporting the work we do here, please join our insider community. Simply go to thenewsworthy.com/insider to learn more and start a 7-day free trial. We'll be back with much more news to know tomorrow. For now, have a great day.